Hi everyone, this is Fluent Pilot and I'm delighted to present a new video for you. Technically it will be added to the incident analysis playlist, but this time we are gonna have sort of a battle between the two stories. ICAO level 4 versus ICAO level 5. Come on, this is gonna be fun, check it out. Let me start off with a quick briefing. We have this picture for today's story, but we are not going to do detailed scanning. We're going to have two stories instead. The first one is designed to demonstrate more of a typical ICAO level 4 performance, and the second one will be closer to ICAO level 5. I will be making remarks when we go through each of the two texts, so that it makes more sense what exactly am I trying to bring your attention to. Mind though, we will not be able, obviously, to compare pronunciation, comprehension, and interactions, so focus rather on structure, fluency, and vocabulary. Okay, how would a level 4 description sound like? In this picture, we see a cargo aircraft, which is parked on the apron. It's standing on the main landing gear, but its nose left the ground and is now pointing up, and the tail part, on the contrary, is touching the ground. It seems like ground personnel made a serious mistake while loading or unloading the airplane. I mean those people who are responsible for the loading procedure. I think it's an MD-11, a freight version. There is a wide door and there are no windows. The aircraft belongs to an operator named Gemini. I also can say it's a major airport because it can accommodate such big cargo airplanes like MD-11. Behind this aircraft we can see another cargo MD-11 which is operated by UPS. There are two cars by the airplane. Besides, there are three men standing near the nose of the aircraft. Maybe they are technicians. They are thinking now how to get the nose landing gear back to the ground. There are passenger stairs. Perhaps some people are still inside the airplane. Like I said, this is clearly a responsibility of the ground personnel. They messed something up with the loading sequence. The aircraft has one engine in the rear part, so the specific center of gravity of this type of aircraft should always be taken into account. Usually they are harder to get properly balanced. I guess the tail skin was damaged and the aircraft will require maintenance. Okay, let's break this down. First, mind the tempo. There were no big pauses. The fluency was sort of okay. Your benchmark here is 100 words per minute. Referring to official documents, if your ambitions are level 5, the tempo is supposed to be significantly higher than ICAO recommended 100 words per minute. As for the structure, we've got here adverbs of frequency, comparison adjectives, discourse markers, modal verbs, simple passive, relative pronouns, article were in place. We used various tenses like present simple and continuous, future simple, and also there is the raw structures. According to document 9835, all these are so-called basic structures. They're good, they demonstrate a good command of the language, but apparently not too complex to claim level 5. Another important remark is that here at level 4 there is more room for errors, considering that they rarely interfere with the meaning. Do your best though not to make grammar mistakes, because you never know where your examiner has that error tolerance line. Well, what else can we say? Sentences were simple, the entire approach was more descriptive, there wasn't much of cause and effect relationship demonstrated. Speaking of the vocabulary, it was also okay. I tried to use, so to say, simple vocab, but in my opinion, quite sufficient to communicate the ideas. What's crucial here is that even at level 4, you are supposed to be able to paraphrase things. That is, to explain what you mean in other words, even with comparatively simple vocabulary. Imagine that you are at an exam, you are nervous, ideas and words slip out of your mind, but if you can paraphrase, that's a key to success. Okay, we'll get back to all these aspects later on. For now, let's go to the second text and see what a provisional level 5 would sound like. Well, I've got to admit, what we have here is quite an extraordinary situation. It takes place on the ramp of some major airport and involves a wide-body freighter. Since the cargo door is open, apparently this Gemini MD-11 was being loaded or unloaded when something went wrong. As a result, the airplane has tipped back on its tail and its nose is now soaring some 5 or 10 meters above the ground. I guess several workers might have been trapped inside the aircraft. So these guys in high visibility vests are now facing a challenge of evacuating those people from the airplane. Moreover, the ground handling and engineers will now have to come up with a decent idea how to get the airplane smoothly back to the ground. Of course, there isn't much information on what exactly has happened, but I can assume the ground handling crew failed to arrange the loading or unloading process properly. They either messed up with the loading sequence or forgot to use ballast. Besides, if we take a closer look at the type of the aircraft, we'll see it's a trijet with the center engine mounted in the rear, right at the bottom of the vertical stabilizer. Owing to this design feature, the airplane's center of gravity is located further aft compared to other commercial aircraft. This is the reason why this aircraft type is believed to be rather sensitive to loading errors. From an operator's perspective, if I were to decide, I would phase such aircraft out of my fleet. They've got an outdated design, lower fuel efficiency compared to a twin jet, and besides, they are harder to control during takeoff and landing due to aft center of gravity. Well, in conclusion, I'd also say that the aircraft doesn't seem to have suffered serious damage. It will probably be limited to skin damage in the empennage area. Once minor repairs are done, the owner will be able to bring the aircraft back to operation. Okay, you've probably noticed the tempo was significantly higher. There were fewer pauses. The vocabulary was much more interesting, I'd say richer style-wise. I don't mean to say that the words I used will automatically guarantee you level 5. I was rather hoping to make the difference from the first text more vivid. On top of that, I tried to make this text a bit idiomatic. Phrases like to tip back or face a challenge or suffer damage sound kinda idiomatic to me. But be careful here. This all idiomatic language requirement thing is quite controversial. There is a video on the use of idioms coming up next on our channel, so stay around. We'll dive into this later. For now, I'd like you to get back to the text and pay attention to grammatical structures and sentence patterns. They are what people out there call complex. Particularly, we have gradable adjectives, common adverbs, clauses given reasons, conditionals, a bit more sophisticated discourse markers, infinitives and gerunds, like here for instance, modals, including those with perfect infinitive, uncountable nouns with zero article, more complex passive structures. I threw in phrasal verbs and a wide variety of tenses, as well as complex subject and subjunctive mood, either or structures, adjectives in comparative forms, and so on. The entire analysis of the situation and the ability to retrieve information and ideas were more profound. The second text shows that you have a better ability to speak at length with relative ease. Okay, a few closing remarks, guys. These texts are pretty much synthetic. I mean, I've created them to demonstrate the difference and tried to include as many vital structures and patterns as possible. Your description in a real-life exam would not probably contain all of them at once. You could use some, but they got to be of complex category if you're looking into level 5. We are humans and we all make mistakes. The question is how many mistakes you make. There is nothing criminal, they can be present at both levels. But bear in mind, level 4 has much more room for them. It does matter if they interfere with the meaning. Again, do your best not to have them at all. My experience is that in most cases, it's the grammar that defines whether to rate somebody level 5 or level 4, because it's the backbone of your language. Vocabulary, fluency, and pronunciation come easier. Interactions and overall comprehension are not that hard to improve. But that's my personal rating, of course, and my personal prioritization approach. In the end, all 6 will matter when examiner will be evaluating your performance. Right, I'm gonna stop here. If you guys like that, we can develop this ICAO level 4 versus ICAO level 5 thing. Comment and share the video if you think this channel is worth growing. Okay, thanks for watching. You all have a good day. See you later.